Daigo is preparing the body of a young deceased girl. When he sees how beautiful the person is, he can't help but think how unfair life is for those who die young. Now, he needs to clean the girl's body and apply makeup so the deceased can leave this world looking clean and beautiful. But while cleaning, he discovers something unexpected, a male body part. He tells his mentor about it, and the experienced mentor immediately asks the family whether they want male or female makeup for the deceased. The mother starts complaining, saying, "If I had given birth to a girl, this wouldn't have happened." It turns out the deceased was born male, but had a woman's heart. Unable to bear society's judgment, she chose to leave the world. The main character isn't the deceased but Daigo, the man preparing the body. Daigo used to be a cellist in an orchestra, but after it disbanded, he lost his job. He had taken out an 18 million yen loan to buy his cello, and now, unemployed, he still has to repay it. The pressure is crushing. His wife, Mika, suggests he join another orchestra, but Daigo knows no one would take him at his skill level. Only today does Mika learn the cello cost 18 million yen. She's shocked but doesn't blame him. Instead, she goes to the kitchen to cook him something nice. The kinder she is, the worse Daigo feels. For the first time, he admits to himself that he has no real musical talent. Just then, Mika screams from the kitchen. The octopus she bought at the market for dinner is still alive. She asks Daigo what to do. Unable to kill it, they release it into the sea, but it dies anyway. The little creature's death makes Daigo reflect. Maybe letting go of one dream is the start of something new. He decides to give up music for good, sells the cello to repay the loan, and Mika supports him without question. Daigo leaves Tokyo to start fresh in his hometown. Mika quits her job and follows him. His mother passed away 2 years ago, leaving him the family house. His father once ran a cafe there but later abandoned the family for another woman. After he left, Daigo's mother turned the cafe into a small bar and raised him on her own. Now, the house is their new home. Mika loves it and plans to rent a shop on the first floor while living upstairs. Meanwhile, Daigo searches for work and spots a newspaper ad. No age limit, great pay, short hours, and no experience required. The ad claims it's for a travel agency. Intrigued, Daigo goes for an interview. He hands his resume to the boss, who doesn't even glance at it. The boss tosses his resume aside, and the next thing he knows, the boss has his assistant print a box of business cards for him. Daigo thinks, "Does this mean I'm hired already?" He panics and quickly asks, "Wait a minute, you haven't talked about the salary or other benefits yet." The boss says, "How about 500,000 yen a month to start?" For Daigo, 500,000 yen is a great offer, but he still doesn't even know what the company actually does. Plus, he has no skills, yet the boss is offering such a high salary. The more he thinks about it, the weirder it seems. Under his persistent questioning, the boss finally tells the truth. Daigo asks, "So, what exactly is the job?" The boss replies, "Putting the deceased into coffins." Daigo asks, "You mean dead people?" The boss says, "That's a childish question." Daigo immediately makes a disgusted, frightened face. Before he can refuse, the boss hands him his pay for the day. The reason the boss is tricking him like this is that this industry struggles to find workers. Now that someone finally applied, he'll do anything to keep Daigo. Since Daigo really needs the money, he gives in to the temptation and accepts the job. With the cash from the boss, he buys his wife Mika her favorite premium beef tenderloin for a hot pot dinner. She's overjoyed, but when she asks what his new job is, he hesitates and can't bring himself to tell the truth. He just says it's a kind of ceremony. Mika guesses, wedding planning? Daigo goes along with it and says yes. The next day, Daigo starts his first real day on the job. He worries whether he can handle it. He's never even seen a dead person before. When his mother passed away, he was abroad and couldn't see her one last time. So this job is a huge challenge for him. To help him get familiar with the process quickly, the boss has Daigo play the role of the deceased in a mock coffin ceremony. The boss explains that before placing the deceased into the coffin, their body must be cleaned with disinfectant-soaked cloth. This cleansing symbolizes washing away fatigue, pain, and suffering. During the process, the mortician must have no distractions and must respect the deceased in their heart. After cleansing, the deceased is dressed. While changing their clothes, the family must never see the deceased's skin. Once dressed, makeup is applied. For men, the first step is shaving their beard. Since a corpse's skin is very fragile, the mortician's hand must be steady with the razor. But the boss is old, and his hands shake a little. Daigo flinches in pain and accidentally cuts himself. The boss quickly reassures him. On his first day, he comes home with a cut on his face and has no way to explain it to Mika. Luckily, she doesn't press him further. On his second day, Daigo faces his first real case. He's nervous the whole way there and asks the boss what he's supposed to do when they see the deceased. The boss tells him, "Today, you just watch. You don't have to do anything." Daigo finally relaxes, until the boss adds something even more unsettling. "I didn't expect your first real day to be like this." Daigo asks, "Like what?" The boss says, "You'll see when we get there." Daigo pleads, "Don't scare me like this." When they arrive, Daigo notices a police car parked nearby. Could it be a murder? That would be terrifying. But the reality is nothing like Daigo imagined. The old woman lived alone and had been dead for 2 weeks. The moment he steps into the house, the stench hits him, and maggots crawl all over the floor. Everything Daigo sees shatters his romanticized view of death. He can't stop retching. After handling the body, Daigo goes to the bathhouse, scrubbing himself over and over. The smell of death washes off, but the fear it leaves behind lingers. Back home, he stares at his mother's photo, filled with guilt over her lonely final years. Missing her funeral because he was abroad still haunts him. Mika notices something's wrong and asks, but Daigo isn't ready to tell her about his job. As she cooks, she excitedly places a plate of chicken on the table, a gift from a neighbor, freshly slaughtered and sure to be delicious. But the sight of the meat makes Daigo gag, flashing back to the corpse. When Mika asks what's wrong, he suddenly grabs her hand and kisses it. A thought grips him. If he dies first, his beloved wife might end up alone like that old woman. The idea makes him cling to her even more, startling her. Later, after Mika falls asleep, Daigo takes out his childhood cello. Playing it, he recalls the few memories he has of his father, his face blurred, his absence a wound. He resents his father for leaving, yet can't stop thinking about him. The next day, standing on a bridge, he questions his career. Working with the dead pays well, but what's the point if life ends the same way? Then he spots fish swimming upstream. Maybe this is a sign to keep going. But the fish will die after reaching their destination, their bodies drifting back downstream. Daigo wonders, do they struggle just to die? It feels tragic. An old man nearby says, they're going home, back where they were born. Maybe he's right. Life needs meaning. Since the end is the same for everyone, why dwell on it? All we can do is fill our time with things that matter and bring joy. Like the distant mountain ahead, its peak is the same for all. We can sit and watch it as time flows by, or set off resolutely toward the mountain, embarking on a journey filled with unknowns and surprises. As we walk the long road to the summit, we will discover breathtaking scenery along the way. The gentle breeze carries the fragrance of flowers and grass, and every person we meet, every experience we have, adds endless beauty to your life. Isn't life just like this? Focusing too much on the outcome makes us miss the journey. When we learn to feel and enjoy the process of life, it begins to shine brilliantly. The ending we once considered so important suddenly seems less significant. But Daigo hasn't yet grasped the meaning of life. He still wants to quit his job as an inn-coffiner. Lost and confused, he needs a guide. And just then, the person who can encourage him to move forward appears. The boss, as if knowing Daigo would hesitate, comes to his side and tells him, "You were born for this." After a moment of hesitation, Daigo follows the boss to prepare a deceased woman for her final rest. They arrive a few minutes late because of Daigo's delay, and the woman's husband scolds the boss harshly. "You're 5 minutes late." 5 minutes. The boss apologizes, but the husband snaps, "Aren't you making a living off the dead?" He seems furious. The deceased is a middle-aged woman. Her happy smile in the portrait contrasts sharply with her lifeless face. The boss begins by cleaning her mouth with a sponge held by tweezers, then removes her clothes to wash her body before dressing her in fresh garments. He covers her hands and prays for her, every movement filled with respect and sincerity. After the boss finishes applying makeup, the woman looks as if she's merely sleeping. Does the family still have the lipstick she loved to use? The boss asks. The husband looks blank. He doesn't even know his wife's favorite shade. But their thoughtful daughter stands up, retrieves her mother's favorite lipstick, and hands it to the boss. He gently applies it, giving her eternal beauty. The entire process is calm, meticulous, and full of love. Daigo watches quietly, no longer feeling fear but awe for life. His understanding of the inn-coffiner's role deepens. From initial disgust and fear to now being moved and reverent, his mindset has transformed. He's touched, and decides to become an inn-coffiner like the boss. Throughout the process, the husband remains expressionless, shedding no tears. But just as the coffin is about to be sealed, he suddenly stops the boss. Staring at his wife, he breaks down sobbing. This woman in the coffin is someone he can never touch again. Goodbye is unbearable, yet it's a reality everyone must face. When the boss and Daigo leave, the husband chases after them. "I apologize for my earlier words," he says. The boss replies, "Being late was our fault." But the husband insists, "This was the most beautiful she's ever looked. Thank you so much." His change of heart comes from recognizing the boss's sincerity, a sincerity that moves Daigo once again. The charm of the profession shows on Daigo's face. His furrowed brow from days ago has turned into a bright smile. The boss offers him food with his hands, and while Daigo would have refused it yesterday, disgusted by those same hands that had just cleaned a dead body, today he accepts it without hesitation. The boss can tell Daigo no longer looks down on the job of an ink coffiner. Things are looking up. That evening, Daigo takes his wife Mika to a nearby bathhouse. There, he runs into the old man he met earlier on the bridge, the one who talked to him about fish. The old man has been coming to this bathhouse for 50 years. He explains that the water here is drawn from underground and heated with wood fire, making it soft and soothing, no itchiness, just smooth skin afterward. Meanwhile, Mika finishes bathing early and strikes up a conversation with the bathhouse owner. The owner's husband passed away years ago, and her son, a civil servant, keeps urging her to shut the place down, but she refuses. It's not that the bathhouse is her life's purpose. She just knows that closing it would take away a small joy from the neighborhood. The owner's son, Yamashita, is Daigo's childhood friend, and the owner watched Daigo grow up. She tells Mika with warmth, "You should be patient with him. Daigo has a good heart, but he keeps everything to himself." When his parents divorced, he never cried in front of his mother, only here in the bathhouse, where his tears fell silently. "So sometimes, you'll need to be the strong one for him." Mika nods in understanding. After leaving the bathhouse, they find the streets covered in snow. On this romantic night, freshly bathed and relaxed, they share a few drinks while a beautiful melody plays from the gramophone. Mika chose the song, one that Daigo recognizes as his father's favorite. But what he doesn't realize is that his mother, despite being abandoned by his father, kept all his records untouched. Mika sees through it. "Maybe your mother never really let go of him." Daigo insists that's impossible, but Mika counters, if she had, she would have thrown these away long ago. The thought lingers in Daigo's mind. Maybe forgiving his father is the right thing, but the hatred runs deep. Can a few words really erase years of resentment? Late that night, Daigo gets a call for a new job, a suicide at a hotel. He sneaks out while Mika sleeps. The next day, he bumps into his childhood friend Yamashita and his family on the street. Daigo greets them warmly, but Yamashita brushes him off, even telling his child not to acknowledge him. "Find a real job," Yamashita mutters. The rejection stings. When Daigo returns home, he finds Mika in a dark mood. On TV, a video plays, Daigo posing as a corpse for a funeral demonstration. She knows now, and she's furious. Mika scolds him, "How can you do that kind of work? Aren't you ashamed?" Daigo asks, confused, "Why should I be ashamed? Because I touch dead bodies? Everyone dies eventually. I'll die, you'll die. It's natural." But Mika refuses to listen. She always supported him before, but this time, she demands he quit immediately. When Daigo hesitates, she threatens divorce, saying she'll go back to her parents' house until he resigns. Daigo tries to stop her, but she snaps, "Don't touch me. You're unclean." Stunned by her disgust, Daigo expected her disapproval but never imagined it would go this far. He doesn't chase after her, letting her leave. After she's gone, he keeps working, but his inexperience shows. While preparing a deceased woman named Yuki, the family criticizes him. "You're doing it wrong. The hair color's wrong. Everything's wrong. Yuki wasn't like this. Do it again." Daigo agrees, but then Yuki's father yells at his wife, "What's the point now? You failed to raise her properly. That's why this happened." The guilt-ridden mother collapses in tears, but the drama escalates. A young man in the crowd speaks up. "Didn't you also fail to raise Yuki well?" The father shouts back, "You brat. This is your fault. Showing off on your motorcycle. Aren't you ashamed to be alive?" Soon, everyone blames the young man for Yuki's death. "She loved you, and you killed her," they accuse. One relative even points at Daigo and sneers, "Want to spend your life doing his job to atone?" Feeling rejected again, Daigo is crushed and decides to quit. But before he can speak, his boss shares his own story. 9 years ago, the boss lost his wife to illness. "One spouse always goes first," he says. "The hardest part is being left behind." On her burial day, he dressed her beautifully, then became a mortician. Despite constant scorn, he never quit. Gossip never shook his respect for life. Moved by his boss's strength, Daigo realizes he's not wrong. His job isn't wrong. The problem lies with prejudiced people and his own weak resolve. Choosing to go against the tide takes courage. Daigo drops his resignation plan, vowing to keep trying. In the following days, he continues assisting his boss, honing his skills. Under careful guidance, his work grows more professional, his makeup more natural and beautiful. Though the bodies are cold, Daigo's heart warms to the work. He honors the wishes of the departed. Daigo applies delicate feminine makeup for a deceased man who identified himself as a woman. The man's father sincerely thanks Daigo. "Thank you so much." In this moment, Daigo feels the deepest respect. After finishing the day's work, Daigo and his boss munch on fried chicken legs together. In the past, the sight of chicken would make him think of the deceased and vomit. But now, he truly respects his job as an undertaker and every person who has passed. So he devours the chicken with gusto. After the meal, Daigo takes out his cello and plays a piece for everyone. The next day, he prepares an elderly woman for her final journey. The woman's granddaughter brings a pair of stockings, saying they were her grandmother's favorite. Daigo and the granddaughter gently put them on the woman's feet. The moment isn't heavy with grief. The old woman's face looks peaceful. Through this work, Daigo sees the essence of life. Death is simply a part of it. It comes without warning, regardless of age or gender. Children, young people, the elderly, none can escape it. Daigo realizes how close death is to life, and it makes him cherish his own time even more. He pours these feelings into his cello playing, giving his music soul and depth. His wife, Mika, has been gone for a while, and Daigo has grown used to living alone. As an undertaker, he no longer fears death. Loneliness means little to him now. But that doesn't mean he doesn't love his wife. He's just waiting for her to mature. When spring comes, Mika returns with big news. They're going to have a baby. Daigo is about to become a father. But before he can celebrate, Mika adds, "We can't keep living like this. Can you probably tell our child about your job? They'll be mocked because of it." Just then, Daigo gets a call from work. Mika complains when she hears he has to leave. Without explaining, Daigo quietly tells her the bathhouse owner has passed away. Mika's frustration fades into sadness. She knows how kind the woman was. She goes with Daigo to pay their respects. When his childhood friend Yamashita sees Daigo, his face fills with shame. He bitterly regrets the harsh words he once said to Daigo. Now, the person he hurt is the one preparing his mother for her final journey. Mika watches as Daigo dresses the deceased, cleans her body, and applies makeup. Seeing his gentleness and sincerity, she begins to accept his profession. Who wouldn't want a husband so full of warmth and love? The final step is for family and friends to wipe the deceased's forehead in farewell. Mika joins in. At this moment, Daigo understands. Mika has come to accept Daigo's job as an undertaker. One day, Daigo picks up a smooth, round stone by the river and gives it to her. He calls it a stone letter. Mika looks confused, so Daigo explains. Long before humans invented writing, people would find stones that expressed their feelings and give them to someone important. The receiver would interpret the sender's emotions based on the stone's weight and texture. Smooth for happiness, rough for worry. This round stone carries Daigo's blessings for Mika. The legend of stone letters was told to Daigo by his father. Now Mika understands why Daigo kept that one stone. It was his father's promise to him. Daigo says his father claimed he'd give him one every year, but he only ever got that single stone. What a jerk, he mutters. Summer arrives. Mika's belly is slightly rounded now. In his free time, Daigo plays the cello for her and their unborn child. Their front yard blooms with flowers, and their life seems peaceful, until a telegram shatters the calm. Addressed to Daigo's mother, the telegram announces his father's passing at 7:30 a.m. on the 18th, asking her to claim the body. But Daigo's mother is long gone, leaving him as the only one who can go. The news fills him with disgust. Now he remembers he has a son. After 30 years, he should have asked the woman he ran off with. But then he learns his father lived alone all this time. Daigo's heart sinks. Had he misunderstood? Was there no other woman? Confused but still resentful, he refuses to go, until his coworker, a woman who once abandoned her own family, begs him to reconsider. She shares her story. Years ago, she left her husband and 6-year-old son for another man, only to be abandoned later. Too ashamed to return, she ended up in this small town, drowning in regret. Hearing about Daigo's father, she realizes he, too, stayed away out of guilt, not indifference. She urges Daigo to bring his father home. Moved by her words, Daigo begins to understand his father's pain, but forgiveness doesn't come easily. After a painful struggle, he finally decides to see his father one last time. After all, his father is already gone. Let all the grudges and grievances be buried with him. The funeral director gives Daigo a high-quality coffin for free, so he can give his father a proper burial. Daigo drives with Mika to the city where his father lived. His father's co-workers say no one knows where he came from. They only remember him as a quiet, kind man. When Daigo lifts the white cloth covering his father's face, he doesn't recognize the man at all. Even seeing his face, he still can't recall his father's appearance. Looking at the few belongings left behind, Daigo wonders, what was his life for? After 70 years, all that remains is a box of random things. But when he sees the local funeral workers handling his father's body roughly, anger flares up inside him, and he stops them. Confused, they ask what he's doing. Mika answers for him, "My husband is an inn-coffiner." In the end, Daigo prepares his father's body himself. As he opens his father's hand, a small stone slips out, the same letter stone he once exchanged with his father as a child. Only then does Daigo realize his father never stopped thinking about him, even until his last breath. The hatred in Daigo's heart fades away. The blurred image of his father and his memory slowly becomes clear. From this moment, his resentment turns into an ache he can't let go of. After finishing his father's makeup, he finally speaks the word that has weighed on him for years: Dad. At the end of the film, Mika takes out the smooth letter stone Daigo once gave her. He gently covers her hand, warming the stone between their palms, then places it on her belly. This stone is Daigo's promise, as a father to his child, as a husband to his wife. A promise of a happy, whole family. A promise to always stay by their side. This love, it's the greatest respect for life.